In this lesson, I'll be introducing you to cascading style sheets, otherwise known as CSS. The basic feature or functionality of cascading style sheets is to apply design styles and looks to our web pages. Basically, the HTML in the code is used to structure the page with functionality and content, and then the style sheets is what we use to establish colors, looks, fonts, layouts, and other decorative elements to our sheets. It's quite powerful, and it is becoming the new standard for decorating HTML web pages. So I've got Dreamweaver open right now. I do have a little mini site that I'm going to use as my website to work on creating some cascading style sheets. So I'll go to my Manage Sites under my Files panel and actually establish that new site. So I'll just click on New Site, and I'll call it CSS 01. Actually, I'll call it CSS Lesson 01, and I'll just go to my Browse for folder, and I happen to have it on my desktop right here, and I'll choose that and click Save, then Done. And you should see that site now over in my Files panel. And here we go. It's a couple of HTML files and a bunch of images inside of a folder called Images Global. So I'll just close that again. So let's start by just opening up story1.html. As you can see, I've got a pre-made file for you to work on today. And right now I'm looking at this file in split view. So I've got my code on the left and my design view on the right. Because of the resolution of my screen, it's a bit small, so I'm actually going to reduce the view of my design side by going Command minus on the Mac or Control minus on the PC, and it's Command plus to enlarge, Control minus to shrink the view. So at least now you can see what's mostly on the page here. And it's not currently styled. What we're going to do here is we're going to create a brand new external style sheet, and we'll also establish the first style to go into that style sheet. And I think what I'll do is I'll just apply a style that will apply to all paragraphs on the page. Before I do that, let me just explain the two places that you can save cascading styles. One is inside the file, inside of the head in your HTML file, and the more common and best practice is to actually save it as a separate file known as an external style sheet. That's what we're going to do now, and I will do that using the CSS Styles panel. Let me quickly explain how this panel works. We basically have three sections. This top window here, which shows us the list of current styles within this page and applied to this page. And if we highlight any particular style, we can see the details of the properties associated with that style in the window directly below here. And just below that we have a bar to create, delete, edit, and attach styles. So what I will do is I will go to this icon called New CSS Rule and click on it to establish my first style, and it pops up this window. Now when you do your very first style, when you get to the end of this list, you're going to actually create a new style sheet where you'll be prompted to give it a name, and it will be saved as an external file. So we'll save that. Actually, I'll set that now, new style sheet. And when I click OK, I'll be prompted to name it and save it in a specific place. Now let me go up to the top here under selector types. There are basically four types of styles that you can create using CSS. And if I click on this pull down window, you can see them all here. One is a class style, which, as you can see by the description, can be applied to any HTML element. The second type we have here is a little bit different. It's known as an ID, which means we can uniquely identify elements within our HTML code which could have unique styles applied only to it. The third kind we have here, which is the first kind we're going to create, is called a tag style, and it will decorate any style according to the specified tag. And then the last one here is known as compound, and it can be a combination of any of the three above. And we'll get into that a little bit later. But let's start by creating a tag style. Now I want to apply a style to all paragraphs, so I need to find the paragraph tag. I can either type it in or I can search for it in the pull down menu. Now paragraph tag is a P, so we'll just click on that. You do see a general description of what this selector will do, but I'm good for now. I have my tag defined and I'm about to set up a new style sheet. So let me click OK. It comes up with this dialog box. Ask me where to save it and what to call it. I will call it style sheet. And a good prudent place to save that, actually stylesheet.css. A prudent place to save that is in your root directory. So you click on site root. We happen to be there already. And we click save. Now, I'm prompted right away to establish my first style. As I said, this one will be attributed to paragraphs, and I'm simply going to set up some font characteristics now. So you see we have several categories on the left here. I'm going to work inside of the type category. Under font family, I will pick Georgia Times New Roman Times Serif. What this actually means is that Georgia will be the first pick. If for some reason it's not installed on that computer, it will resort to Times New Roman and so on until it finds one that is available, and ultimately, if none of them are available, it will take the first available serif font. But these are all system fonts, so you can typically count on them being there. So I'll pick Georgia. Now I have font sizes. I'm going to type that in, and I'm going to use a unit of measurement called ems. First I'll type in 0.9, and let me explain what this will mean here. You can see over here I have a list of units, pixels, points, inches, centimeters. I'm going to use the one called ems, EM. What is an EM? An EM, 1.0 EMs is the default font size of the browser. So what I'm saying here with 0.9 is I'm saying make it 90% of the default size of the font within the browser. So that will vary from browser to browser. I'm going to skip font style and I'll go to line height. I'm going to use a percentage and I'll type in 150 and choose percent. Now you can see here we can decorate our text. I'm going to leave all of these blank this time. But I do want to set up a color. And I can either type in a specific color with a number symbol and the hexadecimal number, or I can choose it from my color picker. As you see here, I can also go around with my eyedropper and pick a color. So let me actually just click away from this and replace this number with a specified number of 003366 and hit my tab key. And that gives us that navy blue. Now the cool thing here with this box is that we have not only the OK cancel, but we have apply. And the apply is really advantageous because it lets me check it out or take a look at it before committing to it. Now I need to move this around a bit, but basically I'm affecting a paragraph. So here's one right here. So once I hit apply, I can actually see the effect of this style being applied. And there we go. It's that navy blue, Georgia, 0.9 with a fairly stretched out line height, so a lot of space in between the lines. If I'm happy with that, I click OK. And there we have our first external style being applied. Now let me just drag this down a bit so we have more room here and take a look at our panel for our CSS styles. You can see up here these can be expanded or collapsed. Now I'm looking at my external style sheet right here, which is loaded in, and it's called stylesheet.css. If I open that, I can see that there is one style contained within that style sheet. And if I highlight the style, I can see all of the properties associated with that tag. I can add properties here, I can edit here, or I can double click on the style and call up the dialog box. This one is a little easier for beginners because it is more in context and you do get to see all the choices of all the variables that can be applied. However, you can certainly go add property and in the list pick any of the properties that you'd like to apply, as well as editing within the windows. Okay, so that is your CSS rules. It shows you all the style sheets and the styles within the style sheets, and then when you highlight the specific style, you can see the properties for that style. And that is a tag style. Now that we've created our first tag style, I'm going to create a second tag style, and I want to show you a few other things about Dreamweaver here when it comes to highlighting and selecting things on the page. I do want to change the style of this heading here, and I'm going to click inside of it. And when I click inside of it, let me point something out to you that helps with navigating through the cascading tags, if you will. If you look down here at the bottom of the page, we've got the tag that I've currently clicked within. The content there contained within is surrounded by an H1 tag. And if I actually click that icon down here, it highlights in my code view. Let me just use a bit more code view here and scroll up. What you see there is the content, and it's also highlighted in the design view, but the content of that tag. If I go up another level, that's the table row. It's contained within a table, or the table cell rather, TD, the table row, or the whole table itself. And you can see here that it's grabbing more and more information as it goes up the food chain, if you will, of the tags. And ultimately, at the top of the chain is the body tag. But what I wanted to point out to you was this tag selector at the bottom. So if I click back in my page here and click within, I'm sort of back to where I was with respect to highlighting the tags. This is very useful because sometimes you don't want to just highlight like this. I could conceivably miss a letter like that and create a span unnecessarily. It's prudent to actually go and highlight the tag and then affect a change. For example, if I wanted to apply a style to an H1 tag. Now, I have to create a style. That's what I'm actually going to do, is I'm going to create a style for the H1 tag, and then I will show you how it gets applied. It'll actually be applied the same as the paragraph because it's an automated feature that will affect all tags. So let's create a new style for the H1 tag. I'll click on New CSS Rule, and I'll just choose Tag again, and I'll just choose H1. There we are. And I do want to save it in that same common style sheet. I could conceivably create another one, but most of the time we usually keep all our styles in a single style sheet unless it's a highly complex site. And click OK. Now for this heading style, I'm going to choose a font Verdana. And the size I'll make 2 M's. In other words, twice the size of the default size, so 2 M's. And I'll just affect the color. And I'll just go in here and I'll type in #, 669999. Hit my tab key and I get that dull green color, which happens to match the banner color. Now just to test this, I could click apply and you can see what it did to my text. Now I'm going to get a little further into this. I'm actually going to create a background for this element as well. So I'll go to my background category. The color here will be FFCC. Hit my tab key. So it's that light yellow. On the border, I'll go to borders. I'm going to put a dashed line along the top and a dashed line along the bottom. I will unclick same for all, and under top I will choose dashed. Again, I'll unclick same for all. I'll choose 3 pixels. And for color, I'll choose 666666. Hit my tab key. It's that medium dark gray. I'll actually uncheck same for all here as well. And let me deal with the bottom. Dashed, 3 pixels, and that same color. For right and left, I'll just leave them blank. Click apply and have a look. As you can see here, we've got the green colored text, yellow background, dashed lines running across the top and the bottom, which are actually 2 of the 4 sides of the border. Once you're happy with that, you click OK. And that is our second style. Again, it's a tag style, and it was applied to the H1 tag. At this point, I'm just going to show you how you can edit existing styles. If you go up to your CSS styles pane, just choose the actual style that you want to affect. And in this case, I want to change the paragraph style. I want to change some font aspects, and it has to do with the size. I'm going to give it an absolute size. So I'm going to choose 10 pixels. And you notice I'm just changing this in the properties panel. I could have also double clicked on the P, for example, and changed it over here. But this already exists in my list, so it was convenient. Anyhow, I've changed it to 10 pixels now, and you should have seen that change manifest itself on the page immediately. I'm actually going to add another property, because if I look over here, I'm going to zoom up. I can see in my paragraph it's tight against the edge here, and I'd like to give it a little bit of breathing space down this left side. So I'm going to add a left margin. So I'm just going to go over to add property and scroll down to left margin or up. And let's see here. Maybe it's under margin left. There we go, margin left. And I think I'll add 15 pixels to this. So I'll go 1.5 and I'll leave that on pixels and hit my tab key and click in here. And voila, there we have our 15 pixel margin on the left. If I don't like it, I can always go and edit it. I could say 20, hit my tab key, click inside of here, and again, it has accepted that. I will change it back to 15. Tab, click inside of here. Now, very importantly, look up here on the tabs for the file. You see the asterisks, and of course that means that the file has not been saved up to its most current changes. And if you look here under source code and style sheets, the style sheet also needs to be saved. If I click on that quickly, you can actually see the style sheet file and the contents of it. And these are all the properties for the H1 tag that we have applied. But again, going back to the asterisks, I need to save both the file and the CSS file. So what I have to do is go File, Save All. Again, Save All will save my HTML file as well as all the style sheets that had changes affected to them. So Save All, and you notice the asterisk disappears and the files have been properly updated now. And that's basically how you can create and edit tag styles in Dreamweaver.